You are at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $10 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Alex Cookendorfer, who says, please do a rant on the Pokemon Cypher 2019. As a huge Pokemon nerd from the anime, TCG, and games, including competitive, it was really fun to hear this, and I would like to hear the thoughts of someone who is a fan of Pokemon who also happens to rap. I'd like to know about any bars you particularly liked or disliked, the beats you enjoyed, of course, what verses stood out to you. Thanks, Digi. So, I would say I just watched the whole thing, and there there are things that I like about generally everyone's stuff, and things I dislike about generally everyone's stuff. So I thought all the beats were good. You know, some of them were better than others. Generally the ones that had more Pokemon chiptune were more, interesting. Just obviously gave more of the Pokemon vibe. Some of them were just kind of regular trap beats that didn't have that much Pokemon flavor. But overall, I was fine with all the beats. None of them were bad or annoying or anything like that. The first few guys, they didn't have the best, voice. I don't think anybody had bad flow. Maybe one or two people weren't as good as others, but most of them had pretty decent flow. I didn't have any major complaints with anybody's flow. But, the first few guys, their delivery is kind of shaky. They don't have, that memorable of voices or able to deliver their lines with as much, confidence as some of the other guys, or at least with as much style. But once it got going, there were a lot of guys with good voices, a lot of guys who sounded good, but there was just nobody who had a verse that impressed me all the way through. I appreciated the breadth of references that people tried to make. There were some people who really just kind of were like, yo, I'm this like this Pokemon, or I'm this like this attack. I'm going to do this like I'm doing this move. And, that's just very obvious and, the easiest way you could do it. And everybody had some element of that. There was nobody who had just, killer bars all the way through, regardless of the quality of their rapping. But I did write down the bars I liked the most. And generally, each of these was from somebody who I thought was, probably this would be, also my list of the best verses. Because generally these people were decent. But there's only one person who actually had two lines I thought really stood out, and that was probably the best verse. I didn't write down anybody's names because it was, the names came up before the verse, and it was kind of hard to, remember, I'm not going to, keep thinking about this person's name while I'm trying to pay attention to their bars. But anyway. The first one I liked, and this is one of those I can do this like that, except it was clever. It's I can do it in my sleep like TM82. See, that's a clever way of doing it because it's not just oh, I'm strong like Machamp or something like that. Both halves of the thing are references. Sleep is the move, TM82 is the TM that initiates the move, so I can do it in my sleep like TM82. Good line. You would think that would kind of be the baseline, but, anyway. His bitch got my baby in her tummy like Chansey. That one made me laugh. That was probably one of my favorites. I put my special D in her special A. Trashy, but I gotta admit I laughed. There was the one guy who said that he treats the beat like Nidoking and drills it hard, which that guy's verse was pretty good. He sounded great. He had a good flow. That bar just stood out to me. The only disappointment is that he wasn't doing drill style rapping. If he was actually doing UK drill, it would have especially been great for that line. One of my favorites was started on the ground like Flygon. That's a real clever one, because you actually have to fucking think about that for a second, oh shit, yeah. I'm an earthquake, nah fuck it, magnitude 10, something like that. I think that was that one dude who's a PokeTuber who was in there. Maybe they're all, I don't know who any of these guys are, to be honest. Eat the whole damn... God, my fucking... Eat the whole damn... Eat the whole damn clip when that muck bang. That one, I think there was more to that line, but just that one because a mukbang is when you just eat a massive amount of food. So, but it was that mukbang. There must have been some kind of reference to muck or poison before that, but I just thought that was really. It was a really fun way of using muck to combine it with mukbang. That was a clever one. Then there was the guy who said, like Ores, your brain drop in frames. There were at least 2 rappers who actually like insulted Pokemon in some way, which the first time. And this guy does it at one point. This was one of the best verses, but at the very end, he's just shitting on Gen 7 for no discernible reason. Like, the other dude with the Earthquake line, he had shit. He said something about, like, the graphics not being good in the new game. Some reference to that. It wasn't particularly clever. It was just a reference to it. But the idea that, like Oras, you are dropping frames in your mind is pretty funny. Also, he said something about you guys are hoes like Erica's clique. That's pretty good. Those were both from the same verse. I think that one was probably the best up until he started shitting on Sword and Shield for no fucking reason. And then possibly the worst, corniest, most obnoxious one was the guy starting with the Old Town Road parody with the cowboy hat. But he had one line I really liked, which was where he said he was on the SSN with some Mexicans with no SSN. That's pretty funny. Otherwise, most of his lines were fucking total groaners. But, yeah, those were the lines that stood out to me. Overall, again, some people had really good flow, really good delivery, but nobody fully impressed me with their verse. Maybe the Nidoking guy, I remember his flow being really good throughout the verse, but just, if you're going to make Pokemon references, I just feel like you could do a lot more. You could make every lyric a Wham line, and I don't feel like most of these guys did that. So, I guess now I have to challenge myself to do better. Like, I have to prove what a Pokemon Cypher can truly accomplish. Or maybe I'll be blown the fuck out and I will suck compared to all of these guys. But there's only one way to find out now, isn't there?